The polar vortex looks to make a return in February as we're about to get on one big roller coaster to end the month of January. So let's take a look at the snow dip this morning, and it's already been an entire day for the deep south, and we're looking at still a lot of snow on the ground, well south with that epic Gulf Coast winter storm that unloaded across the deep south. Pretty impressive to see, and more impressive that there's actually still snow on the ground even a full day later. Further north, there's another snowpack as well. So if you notice where the snowpack is, that's where some of the colder temperatures are checking in this morning. In fact, we've got about 20 record low temperatures this morning, mainly across the south and areas across West Virginia, back into Pennsylvania. Look at that, 10 degrees up there in Pittsburgh. Yeah, a couple single digits up there into Virginia. But look further south, we've got 22, 23 degrees there in the Florida Panhandle. It was down to 4 degrees last night, and the night before in Lafayette. We bumped back up into the teens this morning. But yeah, it's still cold across a good part of the country, as that that first initial, that polar vortex is still over much of the lower 48. But a lot of that is going to be changing, because here's on the satellite picture, you can see where the cold air is still. You can actually see it on radar. It's that Arctic air continues to little plunge southbound, but we're going to be slowly moderating those temperatures as we're going to be starting to get more of a Pacific flow coming on off the west. That's actually going to bring more moisture back into play, and also areas of actually precipitation we haven't seen in a long time. Yeah, I'm talking about Southern California, those areas into Arizona, New Mexico. Yes, you guys are in the zone for the week ahead to get some beneficial rains. Here it is over the next 48 hours, because we're still going to have that, more or less, that northwest flow, the cross-polar flow type setup. So that and just enhances the lake effect snow. It's already been pretty impressive this year, and we're still going to be adding to those totals, especially if you live right along the lakes. So going forward, going into this weekend, this is what we're going to be looking at, and it's going to be taking its sweet time. It's a pretty significant area of low pressure that will be developing out here across into the areas of Southern California. This is going to be taking its sweet time and slowly move eastbound throughout the week. And by the time we hit Thursday, I think it's going to be more or less locked over Texas with some heavier rain showers moving back in the picture. Before then, we're talking some beneficial rains in Southern California. So we've got two setups. Right now, we've got an area of low pressure. This is Sunday. This would be Sunday now. An area of low pressure developing in Central California. Look at the surge, right? We're not talking a lot of precipitation, but anything is beneficial. It's been months since I've seen anything down here. We'll also have another reinforcing shot of a cooler air coming in. That's going to provide some lift out ahead of it. We've got a south wind that's a little bit of a warmer wind, so those temperatures are going to be rebounding. And I'm not expecting any freezes by the time we head into the weekend for those areas across the south. We'll start to elevate those temperatures further south, and that will just continue to be a little bit more elevated the more we get deeper into next week. But going into the weekend, we'll be looking at for some heavier rains, not snow, folks. This is more or less moderate to some heavier rains moving back in the picture into South Texas, there into East Texas and Louisiana, back into Arkansas, getting into the daytime on Saturday, going into Sunday time frame. So here's the setup over the next, this would be Sunday all the way till Tuesday. This is what you're looking at, is a precipitation map for about a 48-hour time span. So I kind of broke it out for you to show the progression of this upper level low. So here's your precipitation from Sunday morning all the way to Tuesday mornings for those 48 hours. Yeah, I mean, again, we're looking at a couple tenths of rain, maybe some half-inch totals there in Southern California, portions of Arizona. Definitely beneficial. We'll have another pocket of precipitation with that other system that's complemented for that cold front that will likely stall down there in Central Texas. That'll provide the greatest lift down there in South Texas, getting into Louisiana. So some of these areas could pick up some 1 to 3 inch totals, and this is your cross-polar flow. That is more or less all snow underneath that heading into that Sunday to Tuesday time frame. So once we go from Tuesday morning to Thursday morning, most of the precipitation is more or less locked over the southern plains. It ends there in California, much of Nevada. Now it's shifting into Arizona, portions of New Mexico, but it's really amplified as it a little bit more potent upper level low kind of slows down and takes its sweet time progressing throughout the south there. And again, you just have that cross-polar flow as the jet stream continues to lift a little bit further north the deeper in the week we get. So this would be Thursday, your January 30th time frame. And by the time we get to that Thursday time frame, this will be a week from now. Look where we're at, right? So you got the jet stream slowly lifting further and further north. You've got above average temperatures moving back. There's hardly any colder air to talk of anymore. Now it's just some warmer anomalies moved back much of the lower 48. And look where the cold air returns, well back up into Alaska. And that's where you get some brutal cold returning back into the picture for them. But for this morning, check this out, folks. I mean, this is what we're talking about right now on the 23rd. We're talking 36 degrees in Anchorage, Alaska. At the same time, we're at 28 in Dallas-Fort Worth. That just gives you an idea. So the progression all week long is going to be sending from where we are now, from where we're going to be a week from now, and a week from now, then Alaska is going to be in the deep freeze. That's that roller coaster that we talked about. Now we're talking areas of 20, 30, 40 below zero. Some areas even checking in at 50 below zero up there in Canada. I mean, up there into Alaska. So that's that brutal cold that will be returning, especially as we head towards the end of January. And as we enter the January, look where we're at, right? So it's completely the opposite of where we're coming from, where we got the ridge over the top and all the cold air locked underneath. Now it's the opposite. That's that roller coaster effect. Now you got the cold air back into Alaska. You got the cold air back into Greenland. Now you got the warmer anomalies in much of the lower 48. As the jet stream slowly lifts a little bit further north, and it's well north. So that's your polar jet pulling all that colder anomalies back up into Canada, back up there into Alaska. We'll be watching, again, that other disturbance that's going to be taking its sweet time. That's still going to be probably locked over Texas Friday, possibly even to next weekend. Now that could be actually crucial because we could be mixing in some colder air by mid. So for the precipitation for the next 7 days, yeah, when's the last time you've actually seen rain on the radar in Southern California, right? So you got, areas across the South, desert Southwest, very beneficial rains where I think the heaviest amounts will likely unfold for the next 7 days is with that slow progression of the upper level low down there across the South. So we'll have a dry pocket again in much of the upper Midwest. Further south, we'll have some of the heavier rains, not snow, just heavier rains by then, pulling into Texas, Louisiana, Arkansas, back into Mississippi, and a little bit drier as you move off the East Coast. But things change as we go into February. So we'll have all that colder air just kind of bottled back up there into Alaska, while much of the lower 48 is above average, but we'll start to see another polar vortex disruption, kind of like what we saw in January. Now it's completely the opposite. So we're going to be doing a complete 360, folks. We're going to be, pulling above average for the next 7 days. And then now as we flip the calendar into February, now it just comes right back down. And as it comes back down, I think it's going right back to Texas again, right back to the southern plains. So much of the lower 48 is going to be inundated with the cold by the time we head into that February 5th time frame. And we'll be watching several disturbances. I mean, this is where things get interesting as we flip the calendar, because remember the upper level low that we're talking about, it's going to be taking its sweet time. Some indications already could be looking at some precipitation or some of that cold air already draining down there from by the time we head maybe in that first or second day of February towards that Groundhog Day time frame. But look where the low pressure is on the ensembles, pretty far south as some of that colder air. So at least create some opportunities for possible winter weather potential further south. So you guys in Texas again, back into Oklahoma, as well as into Kansas. That's a pretty potent low on an ensemble member, a 984 millibar up there into Iowa. So we could be looking at even some severe storms, probably some into Dixie Alley, and come more of a full-blown winter storm potentially by then, as we head towards that first couple of days of February. And there could be even a deeper punch as some of that colder air continues to drain further south. And look where we have more areas of low pressure showing up again down there South Texas. So yes, this opens the door, folks. Things definitely get interesting as we head into that first week of February with that other polar vortex disruption coming down the pike. And it definitely appears to be going all the way down to Mexico again. And that looks, as we have these areas of disturbed weather, will be swinging across the southern plains and lifting up into the northeast, creating some winter weather probabilities. And the cold air is likely going to be locked in for an extended period of time again. So once we turn cold in the first couple of days of February, I think we're going to be staying cold at least through that first half February, as we'll have that again, these surges of these polar lobes coming down from Canada, draining that cold air all the way down into the deep south. And right now on the ensemble front, this is where the overall total snow probabilities are at between now and that first week of February. So we know we're not going to get much for the next 7 days, but this is beyond that 7 days for counting that first week, at least on the ensembles, kind of hinting at that storm track pulling again a little bit further south and possibly lifting northeast. So things definitely going to be starting to get interesting as we flip the calendar in the month of February. So guys, I appreciate you guys watching. Do like this video, definitely hit the subscribe button, and catch the next update. Why I protect you before and after the storm.